Hello, this is Mark Martins, independent scientist, and hopefully this is now recording, and this will go eventually on the Indiegogo on the front end video to explain to potential funders or supporters what I'm doing and what the purpose of the project is. So I'm an independent scientist, which means I'm outside of the jurisdiction of academic science. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because, many people don't understand this, but much of what goes on in academia is actually blocking outside scientists. And we don't think of it that way, but that's what actually happens. And that's what happened to me. And so I've got some new discoveries. In this case, it's a model of the agenda of behaviour, basically all of psychology. And rather than trying to persuade the experts of the current paradigm, I'm going to go directly to ordinary people and socialize the new model to, normal people outside of academia. It's too cumbersome to try and do it through academia. Now, I actually have discovered a number of models, but the one I want to explain first, the one I want to bring to public attention first, is this model of the agenda of behavior. There are good reasons for that, and part of it is once you understand psychology and you understand how we react and how we interpret new ideas. This is sort of cognition and psychology, and once you understand that, you will then be able to deal with we will be able to talk about many of the other models, and we'll know exactly why we react certain kinds of ways because we understand psychology. Alright, so real quick, I got to do this quickly. I always take too long. So really quickly, I've got about 7 pictures to go through, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine that you will stop the recording and look at the picture as I put it up there as this video, right? So I'll treat it as a series of stills. First one's just a picture of me. That's what you're looking at the ball right now. That's me in the baseball hat and the glasses and the blackboard in the background. The second model I want to put up there is a list of the models that are, it's one such list of a bunch of models that are actually missing, that modern academic science does not have. Now, there's a bunch of things that modern academic science claims to have but are wrong, and then there's other ones that the model that mainstream science doesn't even pretend to have. Like, for example, intelligence, they just put their hands up. They'll tell you, we don't know what it is. We can give you an IQ test, but we don't know what it is. We don't know what it means. There is actually a model of intelligence. Now, the second picture, so I'll put that up there. The second picture I'll put up there is the current paradigm, which is a list of the models that modern academic science does claim to have. And you can pause the video again here and take a look at that. Confirm that that's, roughly speaking, what our science talks about, and one of them happens to be the behavior one, and you'll see that it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What you're actually looking at, the picture you're actually looking at there, is an assessment, my assessment of the models of modern academic science, as if somehow someone came along and literally evaluated science, the current models of science. All right, the third picture I want to talk about, is an article that was published in a newspaper in England called "Is This a Scientific Breakthrough?" And that was an article that was when I came to England in 2010. They published that I was talking a lot about the models, that scientific breakthroughs that I had made, and how frustrating it was to deal with academia, and that article was in a paper. So pause the video, take a look at that. I will try to make that article available, but if I'm not able to make it readable through Indiegogo, then you can Google it or All right, so that's the third picture, is it? So the fourth picture I would talk about is this what I'll call this a series of papers that I wrote during a key period of time in which I was making discoveries, and it's a period from 2008 to 2010 when a series of concepts came into my head and I put them on paper, and I wrote a bunch of concept papers. I was a technical writer before I was a scientist, so it was a very easy transition for me to be able to put those ideas into 6 minutes already. Crikey, I'm supposed to make this 2 minutes. Sorry if I'm taxing your attention span, but this is a very serious kind of scientific project. Serious in the sense of the models are science-based or scientifically, right? Not serious in the sense of I'm a very serious guy necessarily. I'm a serious person, but in this case, the point is that the models are serious models. Okay, so that's take a look at that. Pause the video and take a look at that series of concept papers that appeared out of essentially introspection. For those of you who know what that is and how to do that, I simply looked inside my own head and began thinking about certain questions, and I discovered certain pathways of logic. Another picture is the two of the 3 ebooks that I have already published that you should look at for the purpose of assessing me as a scientist or as a serious person, serious intellectual ideas. One of them is the green one at the top is a model of the new model of intelligence, and the blue one underneath is the one I'm trying to orient this Indiegogo project around, which is the model of the agenda of behaviour, and it's called The Drive, this ebook was called The Drive for Mastery, which is in a snapshot what the model says is our agenda, which is to say that all behaviour emerges from a drive for mastery. Yeah, we like to be good at stuff, something like that. And I recommend that any of you want to evaluate me, take a quick look at that book. It's on Kindle, which is the Amazon ebook platform. I hold myself up to be, you can evaluate me based on those ebooks. If you find them implausible, then forget about me. But in fact, there are no exceptions to that model. It explains all behavior. The model of intelligence is also very interesting, by the way, but for the moment, let me focus on... Alright, so that's the 5th or 6th one. Let me think, what other pictures do I need to talk about here? I can probably skip the rest. I'll talk about this one, which is an email campaign flyer that I put together partly to help people understand that, look, these ideas that I discovered are very, very simple ideas. The models are understandable by children. You don't need any kind of PhD to, or even you can just be a normal person and you will understand everything I say, especially in those ebooks, which is mostly pictures. I had to teach myself to draw in order to properly begin to present the work. Help people understand that, look, these are very simple ideas. The notion that we have a drive for mastery. We like to be good at stuff, and we like to be the best, and we like to be the top, and we like to be the boss. We like to be popular, and we like to be, We like to have mastery, and our motivation for essentially everything we do is to get mastery, or to assert our mastery, or insist we have mastery. Sometimes to insist that other people don't have mastery, or other people are not better than us. But it's all related to the same essential driver that we look for, our mastery. And that, so there's this concept in my head that has been for a while, that there's this dawning sort of realization that such an understanding, people, oh, Mark, that's just a generalization. Well, first of all, it's not. And secondly, oh, Mark, it's not important. Okay, so what? You just, But in fact, so let me refute that real quick, because if the model is correct, if in fact what I have discovered is correct, which is to say that all behavior can be understood as a drive, as emerging from a drive for mastery, then it is profoundly important. And it's profoundly important for so many things in our real world endeavors, in everything we do. It is so important because everything that has anything to do with other human beings is impacted by that. Certainly all sports, right, are drive for mastery. Certainly all politics drive for mastery, right? And you are encouraged to pause the video and ask yourself that question, and pose the question to yourself. Hey, how many fields of endeavor, could be explained as a drive for mastery? You go ahead. All right, if you did that, now you realize, yeah, all of it. Anyway, the point is, it is absolutely important, and such events only happen once in a civilization. In other words, there's only one moment in civilization that will even if my model was wrong, even if this model was wrong, there would still only be one moment in civilization when the true understanding of our behavior happens, and that it will change all of society. It will change because it will change how we view each other, it will change how we relate to each other, it will change how we understand each other. And from that moment forth, regardless of what that model actually is, from that moment forth, it will profoundly affect human relations, human consciousness, if you want, from that moment on. So, and what I'm claiming is that this is that moment, and this is that model. I can find no exceptions. I published the model as an ebook in 2017, but in fact I had been talking about it for almost 10 years already. I discovered it in 2008. Oh gosh, that's 13 minutes, way too long. All right. Anyway, the point is, I'm looking to begin the process of socializing that understanding, and because I'm outside of academia, it's virtually impossible for me to it's not impossible. It's very hard for people like me to make a living as a scientist. Never mind the fact that I'm not conventionally, I'm self-taught, entirely self-taught in science. I do have a university degree, but it's in economics, and then I have an MBA in finance. So I'm a finance and economics and maths guy, and my journey into science started with trying to improve my chess game one day in New York City and discovering a model of intelligence. That's the other Kindle book that I published. But anyway, so I'm completely, I sometimes call myself, I discovered that model accidentally, and I call myself the accidental scientist. and the same thing with the model of behaviour. I was not looking for any such thing. I was just thinking about play and the nature of play and why we play. So anyway, here we are, and I'm doing this around academia, which is to say I'm completely marginalized by all of those professors and experts and psychologists in the field of psychology and psychiatry and all of it. They have treated me and will continue to treat me, no doubt, for a while, as if I don't exist. Only when I start to get some leverage, only if those models start to become acknowledged in some way, will they finally stop what they're doing for long enough to attack me. So the first moment that will come is when I'm being attacked by professors and psychologists. There's no sign at all that any of them want to acknowledge the new model. Presumably they're waiting for an opportunity to hijack it and claim that they thought of it first. But until they can do that, I'm making it very hard for them to do that, so they're just going to ignore me. However, there's nothing to stop me talking to normal people and normal... Oh gosh, I hope I'm doing this recording well. I'm not particularly good with the technology, but I'm doing this through a mixer. Anyway, the point really is I have to... So I'm going to put it in... I already published ebooks. I could not afford to print out regular books, paper books, and print them and ship them and that kind of thing. And no sort of academic publisher will give me the time of day, so I have to do it all myself. So I'm publishing a book, and this Indiegogo project will be to take that ebook that I published in 2017 and flesh it out and make it a bigger, make it like Darwin's Origin of Species, an iconic once in a civilization book that comes out and explains all behavior. You have to imagine it explains all behavior. So that's going to be that book could be as big as anything you can imagine. I'm actually going to also host a managed conversation forum, which is to say I'm going to guide people through the process of talking about it and discussing it and analyzing it, and so I call that conversation theatre, and I'm also selling tickets to that. So the perks are the book, a poster, and tickets to this discussion forum. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, I'm in the UK at the moment, but I'm also an American. I'm English and American, and I may take the conversation theatre on the road at some point, and do a bunch of stuff in America too. But at the moment I live in High Wycombe, which is 40 minutes northwest of London, if you go on British Rail. Anyway, I may go on the road in England too and do a bunch of presentations in different towns. But that forum is called Conversation Theatre, and it's basically a managed conversation forum where I guide people through the process of questioning and understanding and talking about this new model of understanding. All right, hopefully that's enough. 19 minutes, way too long. I can't make it any shorter than this. I don't know how to. Anyway, I hope to see you. I hope to hear from you. I hope you'll sign up and get one of the perks, or even better, get all of them, and also go to Kindle and check out those ebooks. They're mostly pictures, very simple to understand, and it takes, I think, half an hour. It's a 30-minute read, either one of those books. Okay. Mark Martins, Accidental Scientist, signing off.